Welcome to the first edition of the We the Fans podcast video show, whatever you want to call it. I don't care as long as you watch us. I'm Ron at AREOHEN4, formerly co-host of the 30-Minute Timeout podcast from ProSportsExtra.com. Speaking of, I'm joined by who we used to call Triple Crown Boomer. Boomer, what's going on?
What's happening, everybody? I hope anybody who did listen to the 30-Minute Timeout podcast hops on over and checks out our, what do they call them, vlogs, video blogs?
Yeah,
pretty much.
I guess.
Podcast thingamajigger we got going on. As he said, you can find me on Twitter at TCB, Triple Crown Boomer, and I'm a big fan of the Raiders. That's all. And college sports in general.
The Raiders, yeah. Obviously, I'm a Dolphin fan, Yankee fan, Knick fan, Ranger fan. A lot of that doesn't work out for me. So, at least I have the Yankees. Speaking of Yankees, being a Yankee fan, being from Staten Island, I got my boy Zach with me.
What's going on, everybody? I'm a Yankee fan. I'm unfortunately also a Jet fan. And I'm a Knick fan. So,
Yeah, it's all right. We all go through the pain. Speaking of sharing pain, for the past 18 years, Mike, I think 18 years, we've both been looking for a quarterback. Mike Plastini, ladies and gentlemen.
How you doing, guys? I'm a big Dolphins fan with Ron, enjoying the undefeated 3-0 Dolphins right now. Big Braves fan, clinched the NL East. This is a good year for me. I like the Knicks. And if I followed hockey close enough, I would be a Rangers fan. But football and baseball are my thing.
Well, you better start because I don't accept bandwagoners, okay?
All right. Dolphins, I think that says enough.
3-0, first place in the AFC, first place in the division, looking real good. Speaking of, the way we're going to do this show, and it's not going to be the same every show, but the way we're going to format this show, we're going to do something kind of like what me and Boomer used to do on 30-Minute Timeout. We used to do first quarter through fourth quarter. We're going to do, it's more of an NFL-oriented show today. First down, second down, third down. Fourth down will be move the chains or punt. It's like a buy or sell. So let's start with what we have planned for first down. First down, we got the AFC East is upside down. I mean, I'm not against it, obviously. We're in first place. The Dolphins are in first place. But as far... it shouldn't be. Shouldn't be. That's what he says. Shouldn't be. But as far as everything that was expected, I didn't expect it. The whole division's crazy. Since you're saying I shouldn't be, and you're gonna have the first opposing view, Mr. Jet fan, go tell me what you think.
Well, I think that this is, it's a hot 3 weeks, but it's definitely not going to stay like this. Unfortunately, I'm not just saying that because I'm a Jet fan. I'm just trying to be a realist here. I think that, if we're being honest, I think the Patriots will find their stride, and they'll probably finish the season...
Not this week, they won't.
They definitely will. They'll probably finish the season 11-5. The Jets will finish ahead of the Dolphins in second place at a cool 9-7.
Oh, boy.
See, this is why I'm glad we're doing a video show.
The Dolphins will finish 8-8, and the Bills will finish 5-11, 4-12.
Wow. Okay.
It's a hot 3 weeks.
Now that we got fantasy football out of the way, Mike, Dolphins fan, go for it. What do you think?
You got to be pleased with the 3-0 start. I don't think you or I would have pictured this if they asked us this, preseason week 4. But we're undefeated. We're 3-0. The Patriots, they look vulnerable. That's the one difference this year from the previous years. But as we know, you can never count out Tom Brady. He's Tom Brady. So I can see them getting to 10 wins. But I feel strong Miami can keep the lead. The Jets are the Jets. I mean...
Yes.
It's, you got butt fumbles and things of that sort that will always be with them.
Yeah.
The Bills, they're a New York team. They're not going anywhere. 4 or 5 wins if they're lucky.
Yeah. Josh Rosen's not going to keep it up. Josh Allen. Sorry. Rosen's in Arizona. I was going to say before, I'm glad we're doing a video show because when people like him say crazy things like that.
People like me.
You get this, people like you.
there's a type.
You people.
You people.
You get to see everybody's reaction because everybody just about had the same reaction. Boomer, I know you're not a fan of any team in the AFC East, but you got to be just as surprised as everybody else.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely surprised. A lot of preseason, the Dolphins looked like maybe could have been one of the worst teams in the NFL. Like we talked about in the podcast before,
No,
you don't get too high or too low in the preseason.
I didn't say that.
You don't get too high or too low on preseason. I think his take over there on the Jets, you're supposed to pass the pipe, just don't hit it once. Don't hit the whole thing, just pass it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's crazy. I think the Patriots end up having kind of a bad season, actually. For them, they'll probably get to 10 wins. I think Dolphins have every shot in the world to actually tie them. They only need 7 more. Their schedule isn't that tough. The Bills are a win. The Jets are a win. So you got the shot to tie them or win the whole division. So I would say, lucky for you guys, it could be tied. The Patriots don't look the best. If you win this weekend, watch out.
If we win this weekend, we're in great shape to take the division.
I'll give you that.
And let's not forget, last team to win the division that wasn't the New England Patriots.
Chad Pennington, the Miami Dolphins.
Chad Pennington in the Miami
I have
Dolphins.
a jersey in my closet. I can get it out if you want.
What's that?
I have Pennington's jersey in the closet. I can whip it out if you want.
I'll burn that for you if you want.
Why? You probably used to have a Pennington Jet jersey.
Yeah. Wants to perform when he goes to Miami. He doesn't want to do anything when he's in New York.
Well, it only took 11 wins that year, too, to win the division. Let's not forget that.
Yeah,
So I think we all basically said we think the Patriots are going to be at about 10, 11 wins. So if Miami could run off a season like they did last time and we have a lot better team, I think they might actually be able to get out of the first round of the playoffs.
If they're there.
All right, let's go into second down. There's a lot of winless teams. Not a lot of winless teams, but some surprising winless teams. A couple of teams got their first win this weekend, and I think it was even still surprising that they were fighting for it. For example, the New York Giants, who I had ranked 8th in my NFL rankings preseason,
Nice.
and that didn't really work out for me. Let's start with you, Boomer. What do you think is your most surprising winless team right now?
You have to go with the Raiders. Being a Raiders fan, they've been winning at the half of every single football game and third quarter. So, you're talking having a victory every single game. It's just ridiculous. They should have never lost to Denver, missed an extra point. They at least could have went to overtime. Get beat by a field goal at the end of the game. Dolphins, the score looks more lopsided than what the game really was. The Raiders are in that the whole time.
They should have won that game.
I think they squeak out this weekend against Baker. I think Baker ends up having a reality check since people could scheme for him. He's not just lighting a spark on the team. He's traveling to the black hole, the Raider Nation, baby. So I think he might get a little. He might throw some picks this week, and the Raiders need some kind of turnovers and some QB pressure because they've been struggling. But I think they finally get the win. I think they have a chance to still have a decent year. Their next 8 games is against a lot of easy teams. Seahawks, Niners without Garoppolo, Cardinals who are just bad. They got the Browns right now. So there's a lot of good stuff that could happen for the Raiders yet. So I'm not jumping off that wagon, which I never have because I've been a fan forever. But this 0-3 start sucks, but it's not the worst thing that could happen.
Boom, let me ask you, are you sold on Derek Carr? You think he's your quarterback in the future?
This is fantasy.
Yeah, I like Derek Carr a lot.
He's on my bench.
That's my quarterback.
I got no problem with him. I think just right now, Gruden's got too much stuff going on his head. One week he's saying he's not aggressive enough. Next week he's saying he's too aggressive. I just think they need to get to an even keel level together. It's only been 3 games really together. Carr had a great season 2 years ago, so we'll see.
Did you know how hard it was to find a pass rusher? Because apparently John Gruden was sure when he took the job.
Don't even get me started on that BS that we traded Khalil Mack. You knew right when it happened I was pissed off. I'm still not happy about it.
Yeah,
I get rid of John Gruden and take Khalil Mack anytime. I saw that was a question today in a lot of sports stuff. So, I would get rid of John Gruden and take Khalil Mack back.
Yeah, their schedule, I'm looking at it now. Browns, Raiders, Seahawks, I mean, I don't think that's as easy as you think it is. I think they got a rough road ahead of them. I think the Chargers, they're going to have to play the Chargers twice in the next 6 games. I mean, I don't know where you think that they might have a chance to get something together, but I see maybe some staggered wins there. But
Niners, no Garoppolo. The Chargers, I mean, they have almost everybody on their team injured. They had to re-sign Antonio Gates back on the roster. That's how depleted they are.
But he's not playing yet.
Seahawks had one good game against the Cowboys, who obviously can't push the ball down the field, and the Raiders can. That defense isn't very good anymore. They can't get a pass rush. Their offensive line is the worst in probably almost all of professional football, besides maybe the Cardinals. I'm not too worried about this stretch coming up.
The Giants, I think, have the worst offensive line in football, and we'll see how the Dolphins season goes because we're usually down there too. Mike, winless teams with one win. What do you think?
To me, I mean, Arizona is just absolutely terrible. From benching Bradford mid-game, I just didn't see the point of that. You're throwing your quarterback, your prized possession, you draft in the first round out there for the Wolves. I don't think it was the right situation, and I believe they've been outscored. They scored 20 points this year so far in 3 weeks, and opponents they've given up 74. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's pretty
good. I had to drop their defense. I had them for fantasy, and I was like, "What am I doing?"
Same defense because of that.
Great question.
I was like, "Why do I have this defense? Let me drop them."
The bottom feeder teams, I think most of them are going to stay towards the bottom. I think teams like Oakland, I think, does have a chance to pull out like an 8-8 season. Cleveland can still pull out an 8-8 season.
I'll tell you a 1-2 team who I like to win a good amount of games this year. I was saying this the other day to someone. A 1-2 team I like a lot. I like the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah,
I think Andrew Luck's playing really good. They played a really good game against the Eagles last week. They lost that in the last few minutes. That was a really good game. I like them to win that division. I know Jacksonville's there, but honestly, Jacksonville's offense does not impress me at all.
Especially after losing receivers.
Right. I think if you could put up 21 to 24 points against Jacksonville, which is doable even with that really good defense, I think you can beat them. The Titans, they have a problem with Mariota right now. I think the Colts are a 1-2 team that have potential to be at 10-6, maybe 9-7. But I could be wrong, and they could definitely finish 7-9, 6-10.
I think the Colts. I'm still sticking by the Giants because I think their biggest problem is the offensive line. Don't make faces at me. Remember, I can see the both of you. Okay, all right. I don't think
you know reality check is coming.
Well, I'm not saying
life right there, man.
I'm not saying that they're a top 10 team in the league anymore. Throw that out the window. They're down near 20 for me right now.
Good.
But I think they're
25.
But I think they're good enough to salvage their season and potentially grab a wild card spot coming out of the NFC. And they're the same team that they're not the same team, but it's the same mindset. I think once they get in the playoffs, they're a dangerous team. If that offensive line can stay together, I think they could be okay.
The Redskins are looking good too. You don't think the Redskins look good?
Mike, you look like you got something on your mind.
No, the offensive line. I mean, they benched their first round pick. Week 3. Manning is old. The Giants. I can't see them more than 7-8 wins this year.
He could do it with protection. I fully believe because their wide receivers.
No, Eli's done, man. You're nuts.
Their skill players are talented enough that they can protect them.
Was done, and it was horrible when that 63-point or 62-point loss. You remember that, Ron?
You can't spell elite without Eli.
That's a horrible quote.
Boy.
Boomer, you don't live in the area, but that was a big, stupid radio debate, like a sports radio debate about is Eli elite, and that.
What,
was
when he won Super Bowls?
Out of it.
Yeah.
No, actually 3 years ago it was. It wasn't. It was way after the Super Bowls.
I mean, he's an elite-ist because he's a part of the Manning family, but he is not elite.
I guess that's one way to look at it. If everybody's done there, I think we kind of spoke about all the teams that
I like Houston Texans. That's all I'll say quick.
What's that?
If Bill O'Brien pulls his shit together, it doesn't get fired.
How does he still have a job?
Texans have a good roster. If they don't win in the next week or two, I think they're done. I think he's fired.
I'm very surprised at the Texans. I think the Raiders, might have been everyone's big surprise. I think the Texans is my big surprise because I thought with Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, Will Fuller, Braxton Miller, Lamar Miller, they have a really good offense. And the fact that they're producing the way they are and their defense isn't looking that great either.
Lamar Miller's on the way out. He's at the tail end of his career. You got to give Deshaun Watson a season. And I think Carson Wentz, you have to give him a season.
I'm surprised.
How young they are. Carson Wentz has just a couple of years in the NFL. Deshaun Watson obviously barely has a year in the NFL. They're both coming off major knee injuries. We've seen veteran quarterbacks come off knee injuries and not be able to get back right. These kids are obviously young enough where they're just going to have to build the confidence back to be able to perform. But I think you have to give them a pass. You have to give them this season to get themselves right. Whether that means Bill O'Brien stays or goes, I don't think it really relies on that. I think everything else he does with the team relies on that. But I think you got to give Deshaun Watson a year.
Okay.
Anybody?
Coaches don't have a long leash.
I don't think he's the right man.
Offensive coordinators get fired. Defense coordinators get fired. Players leave.
But I think that also depends on the franchise too, Mike, because there's also, if you look at some of the longest tenured coaches in the league right now, not all of them are really very good. And even coaches like Mike Tomlin could have lost his job at some point between then and now. You know, so I know the leash is short on coaches, but I think teams are better off, in my opinion, even when you're losing, to stick it out another year or two if it's still building, like a situation like Houston. Like, I don't think Bill O'Brien needs to lose his job. I think he's got a year left.
I do. He can't win a playoff game even when he gets there, bro.
He's been there a long time and hasn't done anything. And as good as they looked at the beginning of last year, now it's starting. If they start 0-4, 0-5, he's done, man.
Yeah,
but
I'm a boomer here, man. He's done.
But this is the best team. This is the best team they've had since he's been there, right? I don't think any other team has been better. He had Andre Johnson, I know that, but that was at the end of his career.
No, he didn't even ever have Andre Johnson, I don't think.
Was he in Indianapolis at the time?
He was in Penn State.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. So maybe that might have been his first year in Indianapolis. But even if this is the best team that he's ever had, and why would you change your coaching staff when you're on and I know their record doesn't show, but they're on an uptick right now. They're trending upwards skill wise, and like I said, if that team could look anything like they did last year, with Deshaun Watson starting next year, I think they're more beneficial to keep him around than change things up. We see what happens. As a Dolphins fan, I see what happens when you change coaching staff every year. It doesn't work. As a Jet fan, you know it doesn't work. The only reason why there was any kind of success with Rex Ryan is because they gave him time to build it. He also went to the AFC Championship with someone else's team.
Right.
But, yeah.
And he loved feet.
He loved feet and Mark Sanchez. Okay, so we'll move on to third down. There have been talks of big players being traded this season. Big players have been traded. Big players have signed in different places. Some big players don't even have jobs. Des Bryant. But there's a lot going on with big names. The new thing that people are saying, the Pittsburgh Steelers should get rid of Antonio Brown. And with Pittsburgh Steelers news, they're talking about the Jets being interested in trading for Le'Veon Bell.
It's not going to happen.
I don't think
it's not going to happen.
They would really. It would make sense. I don't think he would want to go there. But just these big names being traded, we've seen crazy things like Ricky Williams being traded for a whole draft by Mike Ditka. What are your opinions on potentially what can happen this season or what has happened in the past? Mike, we'll go to you first.
Well, I mean, I hate to stick a sore subject, but Khalil Mack, getting traded basically in 3 weeks, 4 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, an interception, and a touchdown for ultimately a first-round pick. And I think, what was it, 2 firsts, and then they swapped the second?
They swapped the second, which basically, just swapping the second ruined the deal for Oakland.
Second-round pick.
Say that again?
It's going to be a high second-round pick because the record's going to be so bad. So it's almost like, trading 2 1s for a 1.
Right, and they completely lost that trade. If they would have not have to give them a second-round pick, I think Oakland would have won that trade 75-25. I think they would have really, really took that trade. But swapping that second-round pick, Mike, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think that was the biggest part of the trade.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. You got to see who they draft, and then you have to wait 2-3 years to see if they pan out. So for now, they lost, but maybe they win in 4 years.
Yeah.
Start Boomer.
No, it's an awful trade, and it's just not going to. You needed to get way more than that for somebody of that caliber. It's a stupid thing. It'd be like trading for Le'Veon Bell. It'd be a complete waste. I think he's stupid by not playing. I think he's devaluing himself to every team in the NFL, and that's why you're not seeing anybody trade for him unless it be somebody. I don't think the Jets hopefully aren't stupid enough to trade for him.
I hope not either.
But
I hope not either.
Yeah, I'd say let him go. I just let him sit for as long as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. When it comes to trading big name players, I'm not gonna get into like who wins the trades and it does. Obviously, that comes into later. But like, if you don't want to be here, like I gotta side with John Gruden a little bit. Like, if I'm a coach or a GM or an owner, if you're acting like you don't want to be here, or you know you're gonna be a problem in my locker room, then don't be here. You know what I mean? Like, I want players who want to be here, who want to win for my team. And a guy like Khalil Mack didn't want to be in Oakland. A guy like Le'Veon Bell, as much as he wants to talk and say he doesn't want to be in Pittsburgh. If he wanted to be in Pittsburgh, he would have showed up to practice. He don't want to be there. So I know we're looking at it as fans, like, how can you trade this guy? He's such a good player. But I think if you look at the front office and you look at the coaching, it's like I said, if you don't want to be here, then don't be here. I will trade you. I will go draft someone that does want to be here. I'll go grab a free agent like Des Bryant who does want to play football. You know, at the end of the day, I want guys who want to be here and want to win for my team.
Really?
Those big names. Oh, that Des Bryant.
Does Des Bryant really want to play football?
I think he
doesn't
does.
seem like it.
I think he does. I think he doesn't know his worth. At the end of the day,
Yeah,
he's worth lower. Right.
Right. He thinks he's worth more. But I agree with what you were saying about if you don't want to play for me, then we don't need you here. If you don't want to play here, then we'll ship you somewhere else.
Right.
But Khalil Mack never wanted to leave Oakland. Khalil Mack did not want to play for John Gruden because John Gruden did not want Khalil Mack. That's what it ultimately came down to.
Boomer, do you know?
I think it's on both sides. I'm not saying that Khalil Mack didn't want to play for the Raiders. I think it's still on Khalil Mack for never coming in and talking to anybody.
He didn't speak to anybody.
Even the GM, Reggie McKenzie, told him, "Hey, I won't negotiate with you unless you come in to camp or whatever." Like, if he really wanted to be there, in a sense, it's true that then he should have came in and negotiated something. So, but I still think it sucks that we traded him. And what sucks more is that he's doing so good, and now everybody's highlighting it even worse of a mistake than it probably initially really was. So that sucks.
Yeah, but I think the John Gruden hire was such a bad hire. I think they should have put a coach there that
hasn't been in a booth for 10 years.
And I'm not saying that in retrospect, Boomer, because we spoke about it, and you know that I didn't like it to begin with. I thought it was a bad hire to begin with. I didn't like him coming out of the booth after all this time.
Aaron Boone.
I think he's overrated. Yeah, but Aaron Boone doesn't even have experience. So let's not even
worse
go there,
hire.
Please.
That's an even worse
We don't even want to go there right now.
I hate Aaron Boone.
But I think the John Gruden hire was terrible for the team that they have in Oakland, the way they're set up in Oakland.
Personality.
Derek Carr does not need a quarterback guru. He's not a rookie quarterback coming in playing the first games of his career. You know, I think that's ultimately where they made their mistake, and that's what set off the trade. They could have put a different coach there that better suited what they have there for the team.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mike. They put him there for Carr.
Yeah.
That's the number one reason. The only reason Gruden's there is for Carr. They think Carr's their franchise quarterback. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But Khalil Mack, I mean that's like a once every 10-year kind of player. You almost have to give him what he wants for the most part. I mean, it's just you can't lose a guy like that. You just can't. Never wins.
Yeah, he's a once and maybe ever player. The only other person who even rivals him is probably LT. But something also, I mean, I like Gruden being hired. Like I said, they've looked good in every game. They're the only team that had the lead on the Rams all year, and they had that lead all the way to the third quarter. Their offense is fine. They just need to finally get into a groove. Once I think they get over the hump and get a win, you'll start seeing better chemistry. Things will start flowing better. Carr's had a good year. I also think part of it is in Carr's head. I still can tell when he's dropping back. You can tell he's scared of that ankle getting hurt.
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit in his head yet too. So you can't blame him for that. That's hard to get somebody to get over. Once all that starts to click, I think once they start winning, that'll escape Carr's mind. I think Gruden, just his attitude will be contagious throughout the team once they start winning. And I'm not worried about it. It's the first year of a process, 10. And we're good.
It's the first year of a 10-year process.
10
a 10-year, $100 million process.
Yeah, I've never seen a coach contract like that before. That is
a lot of
crazy.
coins.
Yeah. But you know what? It's so typical of the Raiders. It's like Al Davis is still alive.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, no, we wouldn't have Derek Carr. We would have drafted Josh Allen and run 90-yard slants down the middle of the field and try and hope somebody catches the ball. Like, that would have been the plan.
And probably a fast receiver. Yeah. All right, let's go into fourth down. We're going to do buy or sell, but our version of buy or sell, for the football version, move the chains or punt. I'm going to throw a topic out there. I'll throw to a person. We're going to go quick reactions. Nobody knows what topics I'm going to put. Not even him. I just literally wrote this down before we got on here. So let's go move the chains or punt, buy or sell. Mike, let's start with you. Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, move the chains. He's a real deal.
You
Real
think
deal.
so?
Oh, yeah. I'm moving the chains on him, man.
At this rate, he's going to put up 40-plus touchdowns. I mean,
This year? You think so?
This year.
Yeah, he's got
This
13
year.
already.
And you think he's just not going to stop? So do you think that that's more of a tribute to him or Tyreek Hill, who looks like the number 2 receiver in the NFL right now?
Tribute to Andy Reid.
Running game's not bad. Andy Reid is a great coach.
One of the best in the league still.
It doesn't hurt. He has 4 legitimate weapons.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce,
but
that's right.
I think it's a lot him. He has the poise. He's like Favre, gunslinger. He's going to have his interceptions. They're going to come, but he's not going to be dumping it off for 8-yard passes. He's looking for Tyreek deep.
Boomer, move the chains.
I'll say move the chains, but be careful. The last 2 years, Kansas City has started this way exactly the same with Alex Smith. Mahomes has about 2 more touchdowns. That's about it. The yardage is almost the exact same. The yards per play is actually down. He has 2 more touchdowns. That's about it. It's about the same as how they always start. So don't get too crazy yet on Mahomes. But they do have the best players in the scheme, fitting that for his skill set. Sammy Watkins is dynamic. Tyreek Hill is dynamic. Yeah. Hunt is dynamic. So, I mean, Travis Kelce is there. I mean, you got playmakers all over the field. You're going to put up points. That defense still lasts in the NFL. That's scary. But obviously that has nothing to do with Mahomes. I have a buy or sell real quick. Anybody who watches this vlog can even name who the hell Ron's jersey is. I'm going with sell. Nobody's going to be able to figure it out.
Someone on it, Ken. But someone on it, Ken.
It's a Jonathan Martin jersey.
Yeah, it's a Jonathan Martin jersey. What are you, bullying me?
Then you better quit right now and walk out, Jonathan Martin.
Let's get out of here.
You know who it is, Mike. It's the quarterback killer, Cameron Wake. For anybody that doesn't know.
CFL, good, great.
Yeah,
Can't get out the answer.
He's going to be a CFL Hall of Famer. And he should be in the Jets Ring of Honor for what he did to Geno Smith. Killed him.
No, that was Bryce Petty.
Oh, it was, right, because Geno Smith was already out of the game.
Yeah.
Let's go move the chains or punt. James Conner, Boomer. Boomer?
Move the chains. Yeah, I had to think. You're throwing me random.
You were thinking about it. Oh, you're thinking. I thought you froze.
I thought it froze. It like stopped for a second.
Well, yeah, but the audio keeps cutting out when we all talk too. So sometimes I can't hear what everybody's saying. I just see your mouths moving and shit. But I'll say move the chains. When he is called upon, like at the end of last game, he got the yardage when needed. He can be a pass catcher out of the backfield. He can run it. The game before, he wasn't very good. Opening game, he was really good. So I think he's going to have hit and miss games this whole season. I couldn't punt on him because that would be like, you might as well sign somebody else. So I'll say move the chains.
Well, I don't think a punt would mean you might as well sign somebody else because we do see a lot of committees. So I think in this situation, a punt would just be he's not the lead lone guy that's going to get 25 carries a game by himself. I think that's what we'll consider a punt since they don't really have a committee there. Zach, move the chains or punt?
I'm going to move the chains on him. I watched him for 4 years at the University of Pittsburgh before he was even in the NFL, and this kid was a stud. He's a power back with speed, with elusiveness. He's got everything that you really need in a running back. And I think the Steelers are right for wanting to trade Le'Veon Bell. Why should I be begging this guy to come back to my team when this kid's doing almost just as good as everything that you can do? He can catch passes. I'm sold on him. I definitely move the chains on him.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns on the year, already 200.
Cancer survivor as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Mike?
I hate to do it, but I'm going to punt. I think right now it's the system that he's in. Pittsburgh, they always can run the ball. He wasn't much of a pass catcher in college, but I think he can be an everyday back. But I think he's more of a system running back right now than a standalone. If you put him on a different team, you put him on Arizona, teams that are struggling, I don't think he's going to be doing so good.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go punt on James Conner just because of what I just said. You see a lot of committees in the NFL. I think eventually Pittsburgh will have another running back in there. I think if D'Angelo Williams was D'Angelo Williams of a couple of years ago when he filled in for Le'Veon Bell while he was hurt, I think them two would be splitting carries 50-50 right now. And I think that's what's going to wind up happening with James Conner after Le'Veon Bell's gone. Obviously, Pittsburgh didn't go into this. They planned on it, but they didn't really plan on going this long without Bell. I don't think that was their plan. Let's go another one. Move the chains or punt. Zach. I almost called them St. Louis. The Los Angeles Rams in general. Just as being the best team in the NFL, because that's what they look like to me.
Now, when you say that, though, does that mean, like, far in the playoffs going to the Super Bowl as well?
We're saying at least an NFC Championship game appearance.
Yes. I'm going to move the chains on them. I think that they're stacked at every position, like Todd Gurley said the first week. Every position's covered. Everything that they needed from last year, they got this year. Their defense is insane. Their offense is even better. The only person who I was iffy on was Jared Goff. I didn't really like the way he looked his first year in the league. But this year he's definitely looking better. The signing of Brandon Cooks was huge. He's putting up numbers for me in fantasy. Obviously, your offense is going to produce when you have Todd Gurley. So, yeah, I'm going to move the chains on the Rams. And there's no one in that division that will even give them a problem. I thought, honestly, before the season started, I thought that division was going to be the best division in football. And it is, it's kind of like the opposite. It looks like the Rams are just going to run away with it, and the other 3 teams are just going to be horrible.
Yeah, they're just going to keep going. Mike?
I'm moving the chains as well. Everything he said was on the money. They have the weapons offensively. They have the defense. I can see them in the Super Bowl coming from the NFC for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I could definitely see Rams Dolphins. I
can
definitely see that.
Jesus.
I'm moving the chains on them too. I think they're the best team in the NFL right now. I had them ranked second in my adjusted first adjusted rankings to the Saints, who obviously looked a little disappointing early on. I think they're the best team in the NFL right now. Boomer shaking his head at me. Are you moving the chains or are you punting?
Well, of course I'm moving the chains. I picked them as the number 1 team in our before the season power rankings. They are the best team. Yeah. They could yet have maybe one of the best defenses ever in history, with as long as Talib and Peters come back healthy. Everybody's playing for a contract because most of them are on 1-year deals, so that you can't just be lackadaisical and shit the bed out there. So it's going to probably be a 1-year thing, but it's going to probably be the best team, and I think that there's nobody that's even going to be close to being able to stop them, and especially not Cam Wake and your shitty-ass Dolphins.
The Chiefs might. The Rams Chiefs. That'd be my
Ask
Super Bowl.
Siri
Rams Chiefs.
who the NFL team is.
What?
All iPhone users, I want you to ask Siri
That's right.
who the best NFL team is right now.
That's right. Do it. Do it.
I don't even know how to ask Siri on this damn phone. I don't ever use it. I don't even know if I have it on.
Yeah, I usually turn it off too. You know
I hate that bitch.
Hold on. Hang on one
Thank you, Ron. There you go.
Oh, it's
Wait,
dead.
you-
It's dead. I can't do it. He has one, but he's not going to do it.
If the Dolphins are going to come up, then I don't want to do it. But if the Dolphins are going to come up, then I'm not going to do it.
I don't know. Ask Siri. Siri knows
Actually,
everything.
The Rams, I don't know.
Siri, who's the best NFL team?
The Rams are in first place
All
in
right.
the NFC.
The Rams are in first place.
Rams.
Yeah.
All right, thank God.
Yeah. But it does show the ranking starts with the AFC East, so right on top.
We didn't see that. We're going to pretend we didn't see that.
Next one, move the chains or punt. Oh, and I just wanted to say too, Ndamukong Suh is probably the biggest off-season acquisition besides Khalil Mack. I think that was huge. Mike, I know you hate him, but I'm telling you, and I used to tell you.
I told you for a year we should trade him, get rid of him.
And I still disagree because I watched what this guy did, and his numbers didn't show it, but he got double teamed on every single play. If our defensive line was last year what it is this year, we would have had a lot more rushes on the quarterback.
We wouldn't have been able to sign anybody. Ate up too much of the salary.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the only argument that you can have against me is I agree. He ate up too much of the salary, but he's a force, and I think him next to Aaron Donald is just ridiculous. Move the chains or punt. Who do I go to? Mike. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Fitzmagic.
Mike, I went to you for a reason because I know you're the only other person that is definitely not going to call him Fitzmagic because we know who the real Fitzmagic is.
Minka Fitzmagic.
He just called him Fitzmagic, so you.
Yeah, but I was alluding to Minka Fitzmagic, okay?
He knows. We had some behind-the-scenes talks about it.
Yeah.
My roommate is a huge Dolphins fan. He's obsessed with Minka Fitzpatrick too.
Yeah, good. He should be.
He also though hit the dab
Now, we had some technical difficulties. It was the first show. We got cut off. We're picking it up right now. We don't know exactly where, but we're picking it up. Mike,
It's over here.
we all discussed. We were Zach just picked it up. He picked
It was under the couch.
It was under the couch. He picked it up.
Thank you.
We just discussed. We were still on moving the chains or punting on Fitzpatrick, not Fitzmagic. What do you got?
But Ryan.
You said you were punting on Ryan, right?
Yeah, punting on Ryan Fitzpatrick. Again, flash in the pan, 3 games, 400 yards, NFL record. It's great, it's shiny, it's new, but we all know Fitzpatrick, and he's going to throw his interceptions, and they're going to have about 8 wins on the year.
Yep, I could see that. What the hell just happened?
Nice, Ron.
You there? Okay,
Yeah,
there we
still
go.
going. You're on 10%.
Yeah, it was just my iPad
That's his
telling
third
me.
outfit of the day.
I should have.
He's like a cartoon character.
I should have just
Oh,
changed
man.
again. I should have. I wasn't fast enough. I don't have any. I'm out of Dolphins jerseys too, so
Put on a Yankee jersey.
that was probably going to be next. Boomer, are you moving the chains or are you punting on Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Right now, I'm going to continue to move the chains.
Wow.
Well,
Jameis.
this is a season-long question.
Well, the season is 3 games in, so right now I'm moving the goddamn chains. I can't predict the future. You have to stick with him. I don't know if Jameis is ever going to be what he was supposed to be. He hasn't shown it yet. I don't know how bad it would mess up the locker room to honestly pull him out. It looks like those guys really like Fitzmagic, and that's why he's wearing the weird outfit. It's actually Deshaun Jackson's outfit. They're all having fun. They're winning. He's throwing up 400 yards a game, setting NFL records. Like, I think at this point you have got to move the chains with him. And I don't think James is going to put up 400 yards at any time. So I think you have to ride it out until it's a complete bust, and that's what I would do. So for now, he's moving them freaking chains.
I said last year that I thought Jameis needed to change of scenery, and he needed to be out of Tampa Bay. I think his career is He's gonna wind up being a journeyman backup real soon, and that's gonna be the end of Jameis Winston. As far as Ryan Fitzpatrick goes, I'm punting on Ryan Fitzpatrick. This is the same Ryan Fitzpatrick that we've seen on every other team, including the Jets, the Rams, the Titans. He looks great for a few games. Yeah, he's breaking records right now. He threw for over 400 yards in 3 games straight. I'm pretty sure he's the only one to ever do it. When he did it in 2 games, it was Dan Marino and someone else. I forgot who the other quarterback was. But he's not going to do it all season. He already showed that he's still the Ryan Fitzpatrick that's going to throw 3 or 4 interceptions a game multiple times this year, and he's going to lose the Bucs just like he did when he was on the Jets. Him alone is going to lose the Bucs probably 3 games this year, and they'll finish 5 wins, 6 wins.
Wow.
I don't think they're going to be that great. I think they're winning at the most 8-8 at the most.
I got him as an 8-8. I'm gonna punt on him. I'm gonna agree with almost everything Ronnie said. I think in the first half last week, the Ryan Fitzpatrick that we all know and love came out
And
to play.
you know from experience.
Throwing that pick 6. Yes, I do know from experience, but I also know that he's also he gave us a 10-6 record, throwing 36 touchdowns, whatever it was. He did have an outstanding season with the Jets, but this is still the same Ryan Fitzpatrick who's been the Ryan Fitzpatrick for the last 10 years. Definitely going to punt on him. I think Jameis is going to retake his starting role by week 7. Yes. Yeah, they're going to, by week 7 or 8, maybe mid-season, maybe a little after mid-season, I think Jameis will be back under center. He'll blow it like he blows everything else and just blows at football.
He does blow at football. It's true.
All I hear is bitterness from you Jets fans. That's all I'm getting.
That's true. I think as far as Ryan Fitzpatrick goes, I think I can speak for at least the 2 of us because we say this all the time. Quote Dennis Green, he is who we think he is.
He is who we think
right?
he is.
Yes, who we thought he was.
Exactly. Let's go. We got... Did we have one more?
Yeah.
Which one? This
Middle.
one?
Yeah.
This one, right? Okay. One more. Move the chains or punt. Boomer, don't shake your head at me, all right? Okay? It's the first time we're doing this, all right? We're running into some problems.
I'm so
Things
disappointed
happen,
in you.
all right? Yeah, you know why? Because he knows that when we're doing audio, we're recording like the live show that we used to do. I was pretty much on point, and right now I'm like kind of trying to keep things together. So, move the chains or punt. We'll start with Zach. Baker Mayfield.
This one's the toughest one for me, I think, out of every topic. Because only reason being, I need to see more of him. He came in for a half last week. But if I'm gonna go on right now, are you going with season or are you going with career?
I don't know. Boomer makes his own rules. You can make yours too.
All right, we'll call it for the season.
Yeah.
I'm gonna punt on Baker, even though I do like him. I just feel like the weapons around him, even though yes he does have Jarvis, and Nkemdiche, I think. I mean, not Nkemdiche. What's his name?
Antonio Callaway.
Antonio Callaway. No, I'm talking about the tight end.
Njoku.
Oh, Njoku. Star Wars character.
That's a D end on the Cardinals. What do you call it? I just feel like he doesn't have a lot of weapons around him. He's new in their system. He kind of, I know a lot of people make the comparison, and I kind of do too. He's kind of like a Johnny Manziel 2.0. Definitely a little better than Manziel. I will not equivalate them. He definitely has a better skill set than Johnny. But as far as this season, I am going to punt on Baker. I don't think, I think the Jets lost that game, and I don't think the Browns won that game. I think that, from what I saw, and as a fan, the play calling was ridiculous. A lot of penalties. That 2-point conversion that got thrown to him shouldn't even matter because there was a holding call in the previous play that shouldn't even been a holding call. So I think the Jets definitely lost that game more than Baker won that game. So I'm going to punt on Baker Mayfield for the rest of the season. His career, I'll move the chains maybe with his career. I think he'll progress as he goes. But as far as the season goes, I'm gonna punt.
I moved the chains. Are you sounding like a typical Jet fan?
Yeah.
Right?
He did though. I'm not gonna get into it because we'll be here all night.
They didn't win. The Jets
agree.
lost it.
I agree. The Jets definitely lost that game.
The Jets lost the game. I don't care what you guys tell me.
I agree with that. But everything else you said was just ridiculous.
On what part?
On the 2-point conversion because of the
There
holding.
was. Claiborne got called for a hold. It shouldn't have counted. It was a tippy-tap call. I'm not going to get into it.
There's holding on every play. I'm going to move the chains on Baker. I almost said Johnny Manziel because of you. I'm going to move the chains on Baker Mayfield. I'm going to punt on Johnny Manziel all the way to CFL retirement. I think Baker is what I saw. Not even the way he was throwing the ball, but the way he was standing in the pocket, the way he, from the first play that he came in, besides having to run the 2-minute offense in his first drive ever as a rookie quarterback in his second game or third game, that's ridiculous in itself. But the way he was dropping back in the pocket, planting his foot, he didn't have happy feet at all from what I saw. Stepped up, threw the ball, had no problems reading the defense. I mean, he made some nice throws too, but besides that, just the way he basically went about playing the game once he went in was the most impressive thing that I've seen out of a rookie quarterback. I don't know how anybody else feels as far. I know I was kind of extreme, but I think this kid's going to be great. Moving the chains, season, career, all of it. Boomer.
Great. Oh, boy. I mean, talk about seeing half a football game and just blowing your wad all over the field. Great. After that, I mean, Jets had played 3 games in 11 days. Their defense was worn out. Their play calling was terrible.
Terrible.
Baker Mayfield came into the game with no game plan on him whatsoever because nobody thought he was going to play. Yeah, he sparked a huge comeback. He looked good. But like I said, you're doing it against a defense worn out, played some good teams. You're having their offense, who was running the ball all game, deciding to stop running off the left side where they were just running it down the field constantly, just getting like 5-6 yards at a time, and they just give up on that in the second half. It makes no sense. Strategizing for Baker in the future, I think, is going to be simple. He's a decent athlete. He's not a great athlete. I think that teams are going to learn how to. He had some great throws in tight windows. I will give him that. I do think he'll be a steady, long quarterback. But you watch. Oh yeah, I didn't even say I'm punting. My bad. But you watch this winter, once it's cold and he has to play in Cleveland, how small he is, and playing outside against those tough other defenses, he will fall apart. He's in the wrong team, wrong area to be great. He needs to go to a dome team or a warm weather team to be extremely successful because he's not built for the cold weather.
I think the best thing that can happen to him, I think this is the one thing that really honestly might hurt him, is if that coaching staff stays the way it's set up now. I think the best thing that can happen, I think the best thing that can happen for him is Hugh Jackson gets fired and they promote Todd Haley to head coach. Mike?
Oh, that's an awful idea.
No good. I'm gonna move the chains, but I'm not gonna get ahead too far. Small sample size, 2 quarters. In the NFL, so far, he has the it factor that you can't really say about a lot of the quarterbacks, but you have to give it time. This year, he's going to get hit around. He's going to get hurt, and I don't think he's going to finish the year as a starting quarterback.
Really?
I like it.
You think Tyrod comes back, or do you think they sign Brovey?
I think so. I just think he's going to get injured. He hasn't really got hit yet. He's a smaller frame quarterback. As it gets colder, like Boomer said, it's going to hurt that much more in Cleveland, especially seeing Pittsburgh one more time. So it's going to hurt.
Also, I do want to note the game. I think Tyrod Taylor personally took himself out of the game. I don't even think he had a concussion. He was sick of hearing the Baker chants, and then he was playing awful. I think he bailed on the game personally.
I don't even know what to say to that. Yeah, I think you're crazy. That's what I think. I think you're just crazy. That's all I got. I asked everybody if they had something they wanted to talk about. Bring it to the table. Put it out there. Whatever you want. A story about something that may have happened with when you were experiencing something in a stadium, in an arena, at a game, as a fan, anywhere, running into other fans, in your backyard, watching it in your house, at the bar. Anybody have anything?
I don't have a fan.
Well, not like
I got something
sports.
right. I got something sports related. How about the this has nothing to do with. I know this whole show had to do with football, but did anyone hear that reporter asked LeBron James yesterday, "How do you plan on earning the Lakers fans' respect?" He had no words. Because how do you answer that? He's been the best player. First of all, in my opinion, he's the best player to ever play the game. But he's been the best player.
Oh my God! Don't even get that shit
We're
going,
not
man.
gonna start. We're not gonna start. But he's been the
Such a
best
terrible
player
take.
in the league. He's been the best player in the league for the last 10 years. So why would you? Who like the fact that I'm home on my couch and this girl gets a job asking retarded questions like that? How are you gonna earn the Lakers fans' respect? He should have had the Lakers fans' respect when he was in Cleveland the first time. Should have gained it even more in Miami. And then now he should have everyone's respect after his last stint in Cleveland. What kind of question was that?
The problem is the Lakers fans probably see him as the third best Laker ever right now, maybe fifth. That's the hard thing for him.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think I'm with him.
What kind of question is that?
I don't even think that it's they see him as the fifth best or fourth best whatever Laker ever. I just think they're just dumbasses and they're just not gonna accept it unless he could bring them one ring and they'll love him forever. But for whatever reason, fans in Los Angeles don't want to give him anything yet. They kept doing the graffiti on the mural to him. People kept trying to fix it. They did it over and over. I don't know why they can't respect him. Like you said, he's earned everybody's respect.
Everyone's respect.
Whether you agree if he's the best or not, he's arguably...
They don't respect him because he's a PC pussy.
But whether you respect him or not, or you agree with he's the best ever or not, you can't argue that he's arguably the best ever. That's why everybody has the debate about it. Just to be in the conversation should be respect enough to be on whatever team. Mike.
You know why he's argued as the best ever right now? Whenever he's done and then somebody else does something good, in 10 years from now, you know what we're going to do? We're going to argue the same bullshit because that's what people want to talk about. It doesn't mean they're actually great. They just want to talk about somebody being great. Like now, Tom Brady's about done. Guess who's the greatest quarterback ever, even though he has one fucking Super Bowl? Aaron Rodgers. Like, it's just bullshit over bullshit over bullshit.
You know what I wish? I wish this was more like around the horn and I could like minus you or mute you or something. I would have muted you right when you started, like 3 words in. You would have been muted.
You're sucking LeBron's dick. Don't give me that shit.
minus.
yeah, just losing points.
Mike, what do you think?
LeBron or are we going story here?
LeBron. Let's stay on LeBron real quick, and then you'll be next for your topic.
LeBron he's arguably one of the greatest ever to play. You have to give him that. He can play 5 positions. But
he's good
going
to
LA
5.
Behind Kobe, behind Wilt and Magic and Shaq, and he's just never ever. He can win them a championship. He can be the MVP. He's still not going to be, 100% respected in their eyes, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's crazy. Mike, what do you got?
Story-wise, first game I ever went to, Atlanta Braves versus the Mets, Shea Stadium. Big Chipper Jones guy growing up. I must have been, I don't know, maybe 12, 13, 14, somewhere around there. I made a big sign, Chipper Jones. I don't even remember what I wrote on it. He had 2 home runs that game. Braves won 10-1. I'll never forget. I'm walking out of the stadium. A 75-year-old, maybe 80-year-old man looked at me, said, "You like the Mets? You like the Braves, huh?" I said, "Yeah." He took my sign, he ripped it up and threw it in the air.
Sounds like a heel in wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, ever since then, the rivalry's been fantastic.
Yeah, it's personal now.
Yeah. That's funny.
That's minor.
Boomer, you got something?
I don't have anything crazy really. I've done stupid shit at games, I guess, but I think that's stories for other days. They might take a while, all the dumb shit I've done. But just, we didn't get to do it in the 30-minute timeout podcast. I was just down at Dallas versus Giants last weekend on Sunday Night Football. Bought a $35 ticket, sat next to the bar where all the expensive people had to come from the nice seats on the field. And the lady, I don't know, she liked me. She was like, "Hey, you don't need to wait in line. Anytime you want a beer while you're standing up here in this area, I'll just hand you one." So I was like, "All right." So we're sitting there. I just got fucking annihilated drinking beer. Cowboys go up, 20-3, I think, and it's the 4th quarter. People are starting to walk out of the stadium. My brother and my dad and everybody, they paid a bunch of money to sit down by the end zone. So I saw people walking up, so I was like, fuck it, I'll go see if there's seats open. So I ended up sitting for almost the whole fourth quarter in like $400 seats right by the end zone, just chilling, drunk as shit. So that's my the latest event I went to story for the Cowboys Giants.
And on the next episode of Adventures of Boomer.
I got one story that'll blow your guys' mind. This shit that happened to me one time. We'll save that for another vlog.
All right. We'll save that for another one. I was gonna talk about being an out-of-state fan, obviously being a Dolphin fan and having to deal with people like him, but I'm not.
I don't know what that means.
But I'm not. Actually, Boomer, you just reminded me of something else that I'll talk about, and he was actually with me. It was the last football game I went to, and it was Dolphins-Jets, of course. We were just talking about it. It was the game where Cameron Wake killed Bryce Petty, and I have the GIF somewhere on my Twitter. You could definitely find it recently. I tweeted it again. It's one of my favorite things. But there was a couple people sitting around us. Behind us was a whole section. There was a family of Dolphin fans, so I was in my glory. Right in front of us, you know where I'm going with this. There was this kid. His name was Ruben. He was about the same age as us, probably around 25 to 30. And, us, not you, Mike.
I'm older than 32, so I don't know.
Yeah, but
you're my guy.
True. Well, anyway, so Ruben, the guy was he was a Raiders fan. He was wearing a Raiders Christmas sweater. And the girl with him, she was wearing an Alabama turtleneck. And you could see right on the turtleneck.
No, he wore that underneath.
No, she was wearing the Alabama Crimson Tide. That's why everybody was yelling at her about Nick Saban sucks. And they were asking if they were cousins. Everyone was asking if they were cousins. But the best part of the trip was the kid Ruben, the Raiders fan, about 3 to 5 minutes, and at one point he got so drunk that he timed it out that it was just about every 3 minutes, out of nowhere, for no reason, would stand up, turn around, put his beer in the air, and go Raiders! Go Raiders!
Sounds like my kind of guy.
It was pretty hilarious. It was pretty funny.
Definitely best sporting event I've been to.
Yeah. It was one of the best experiences I've had with the people around me at a sporting event. It was pretty great. I also called Kenny Stills' long bomb touchdown.
He did.
In that game. That's all I got. Anybody else got anything they want to throw in before we wrap it up?
No.
I looked around and see if you guys are over here.
Like if your cat was going to say something.
Anyone? So that was the first ever We the Fans podcast, vlog, video show, whatever you want to call it. They'll be on YouTube maybe every week. Definitely going to be releasing at least a podcast or a video show every week. There's going to be something out there. Follow me on Twitter at AREOHEN4. If anybody else wants to give their social media or anything like that, I know Boomer does have a couple of things to plug. Go ahead, Boomer.
I have a couple things to plug.
Well, you're down to one now. Sorry.
My all gambling podcast called Wager Vision. Is that what you're talking about?
That's what I'm talking about. Wednesday nights, right?
Okay. I didn't know if we were
Later
still going to
tonight.
plug competing websites.
You're my old co-host. I got to show some love.
All right. So, me and Ron used to do 30-minute timeout on Pro Sports Extra. Now I'm just down to doing Wager Vision, which is an all gambling podcast on Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. to you late people.
11 p.m. American time?
No, it's definitely not American time. But you can check that out, or you can find me on Twitter at TCB or at Live with Boomer, which stands for Triple Crown Boomer for all the people who don't know because they didn't listen to our old show. We might get into that story yet, too. There's a lot of stories we might have to rehash out now that we're vlogging and a whole new company thing going on.
Yeah, we're doing our thing. Mike, you got anything you want to throw in?
Twitter is whoop, there it is.
Yep.
OOPTHIERITIS.
Yep.
Tough. I've had that name for many, many years. Gamer tag.
Yeah. Zach?
Zach, _Cestaro, CESTARO, 2 O's, because I'm double cool.
Yeah, that's the reason.
Yeah.
Anyway, follow.
You could
all
at
of
least
the-
put a 7 at the end of that or something, like so you're like a double agent. Like, Jesus, don't just leave an
That's
O
not
out
a
there.
bad idea. That's not a bad idea. Might have stuck call you double OZ.
Don't, I won't respond.
That's why I would do it.
No,
All right, yeah. So follow us on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter to find out whatever the hell else I'm going to be doing with We the Fans. These guys would be joining me. If anybody else wants to join us and do this with us, basically, at any time, you don't need any qualifications. I don't care if you've done this before. I would just want you to be able to argue and talk about sports like you do when you're sitting around with your friends. Except do it with me, them, and whoever else is here. For that, we'll see you next time.
Go Braves.
Go Braves.
Go Dolphins. Go Yankees. And
Raiders!
we're done.